No, I don't like Jeff Sessions because I don't trust anybody that lied about meeting the Russians. So I don't like Jeff. I don't like Michael Flynn. I don't like Trump's lawyer. I don't like... Who else do I not like?
Trump.
Well, Trump hasn't been questioned whether he met the Russians or not. But I also don't like Trump. But not for that reason.
Well, I appreciate what you said. That was the latest of Jeff Sessions' issues. Yeah. So yesterday, there was a memo that he sent out encouraging states attorneys throughout the country, and AUSA's assistant U.S. attorneys to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law folks who commit any type of violent crime. But he also included in the last paragraph of that memo anybody who commits an act that would also lend itself to violence. So, of course, all of drug trafficking was in there. That opens up a major can of worms for people of color, Black and brown folks who've been disproportionately targeted for those types of crimes. That's the latest thing he's done. And he did a lot before he lied about meeting with the Russians, or at least before that story.
It just never affected my life personally, so I didn't know about it. But now that he's in a position to personally affect my life, I have to know what's going on and what his dealings with are. So that the Russian thing bothered me. Also, this drug thing bothers me just because I think the war on drugs is absolutely horrible and
that's what this is. It's the war on drugs all over again.
I know, and mass incarceration. I mean, it's a very libertarian philosophy, but I would legalize drugs. I mean, I think that's what you do. You want to get rid of drug lords. You want to get rid of mass incarceration. You just make the thing that they're selling on the black market legal.
And then that's the problem, right? Because the least offender of those is marijuana. There are states with recreational marijuana.
I just got my marijuana card. I was in California.
Oh, that's about to get revoked, baby.
Snatched. And so
about to get revoked, baby.
Well, here's the thing that we can get into. There's a difference between what happens on a federal level and a state level.
But that's the whole issue now, right? So part
he's
of what
asking these attorney generals to
that's a different point. What I was just raising with you was the violent crimes memo. But last week he encouraged, he let states know, he put states on notice that now they're going to begin federal enforcement even in states that have recreational marijuana laws on the books.
That's the problem.
The challenge is, though, when you go out and say that, the feds can go into any market.
They always could have. That's never changed.
They couldn't because
they could have.
No, they were under direction from Eric Holder not to prosecute and not to even enforce federal laws in states that have recreational marijuana laws.
But the reality is they could have.
No, they could not have because their boss said they couldn't.
No, that's not true.
Their new boss said that they can.
That's not true. They could have if they wanted to. Now, on a federal, I mean, it's just...
She doesn't do this for a living.
I mean, maybe she should look more into it. Look, the reality is, I think you should.
Don't feel insulted. That's who he is.
No, don't feel insulted. You should look more into it.
People will research this and be like, Andrew's wrong, and they'll correct him on Twitter.
No, that's not true, because we did a show. I did a show that Akash wrote on with me. It was called Jobs That Don't Suck, where we interviewed somebody who ran a grow house, and currently it was running a grow house in, I think it was Colorado. Yeah. And on a federal level, he acknowledged that what he was doing is absolutely illegal. And any point in time, federal agents could have come in there. Let's say Eric Holder decided on a Tuesday that, matter of fact, he was going to punish these crimes.
Sure.
He could have changed that decision. So what I'm trying to say is, on a federal level,
disagreed with me because yes, you did, because you said if Eric Holder would have changed his mind, and so that's what happened.
My point is on a federal level, it's always been illegal. Now the issue at hand.
That's not what your point was, but that's
just listen. On a federal level, you just need to listen. Let me mansplain something.
I ain't seen Schulz dance in a while. This is good. I love it.
So here it is. On a federal level, it's always been illegal. What people don't understand is how the justice system works in this country. You need cooperation between the states and the federal government. There are not enough federal employees to go out to every single weed dispensary and uphold all federal laws. You need the states.
Not what the argument was.
Let me finish, Angela.
Your argument is
Let me finish. You need the states to cooperate with the federal government, hence Sessions asking for cooperation. And what happens right now is the states will not cooperate. And like it's already been happening in California, where the Attorney General of California said he decriminalized entirely street vendors because he knows how many of them are illegal, and he doesn't want to use that as an opportunity to basically arrest them for some innocuous crime and then send them back to Mexico or whatever Central American country that they came from. So what you're going to see is in the future, and a lot of people will learn about this, is the difference between a federal mandate and a federal law and action in enforcing it on a state level. If the states don't want to do it, they ain't gonna fucking do it.
So that's what you're missing, right? In law school, you learn about something called conflict of laws, and there's a hierarchy. There are city municipal-based laws, right? They are trumped by state law. State law is trumped by federal law. What I'm saying to you is, Eric Holder said we're not going to federally enforce. They can't decriminalize absent legislation, but we're not going to federally enforce, which has the almost the power of an executive action, right? That is the person who oversees that particular cabinet. Jeff Sessions coming in and saying we actually are going to federally enforce. You don't need any cooperation from the states. You just send in the feds. That's what the DEA is.
There's not enough feds.
Okay, we're not talking about going into every single one. We're
That's what
telling
I'm talking
people, I don't know.
Unenforceable.
The goalpost, Schulz.
Unenforceable.
No,
that's my argument is unenforceable. You need the states to cooperate.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
What law school did you go to?
I don't need to go to law school. This is basic information.
You're
This is
wrong.
basic information.
No, it's not
This is basic information on how the world works.
Laws trump state
If you have
laws.
any knowledge of like the history of how our country is put together, then you would know that the states have an incredible influence over the laws and how their government.
Tell me what happened in desegregation. Did the states need to cooperate with the feds who brought in the black students into the white schools? Did the states need to cooperate with the feds going into white schools to integrate the schools? No.
Federal government had to come in.
What I said, did states have to cooperate? The answer is no.
Okay.
They were made to do it.
By the federal government.
Okay.
Right.
And that's the same thing that's going to happen with your weed laws.
Angela. Here's my question to you. Do you think that the federal government could do that every single day?
I didn't say.
But why
Let me
you
finish.
No, you should. Why you not acknowledging what
I
she
just
said?
acknowledged it. I just acknowledged it. I said the federal government stepped in.
With a question.
I said the federal government stepped in.
And what I'm saying to you is the whole point of this was not to say that it was going to be enforced in every dispensary,
let me just make this last
every
point.
moment.
So again,
but you should be on notice that they are going to begin federal enforcement. That doesn't mean every single shop is going to get shut down tomorrow.
Sure.
It means that they can now begin targeting.
Right. Well, they could always begin targeting because they have.
You don't have to keep arguing the same
No.
point.
No. What you're missing is they could always target because on a federal level, yes or no, it is illegal.
On a federal level, it is illegal, but
That's
they
my
have
point.
to have
That's what
instruction
gives them
by
the permission to a target.
General. No, they have to have instruction by the attorney
to
general
target it.
to enforce.
To enforce.
You had one attorney general saying we're not enforcing, and another one.
You can only force a law that exists, correct?
What?
You can only
Andrew,
enforce a law that
The Attorney General
exists.
sets what the priorities are. The last Attorney General said this is not a priority.
Angela dancing over here, huh?
Angela's
tip-tap
Well, this is the thing. This thing. Neither one of y'all have to argue with each other.
The point is,
the matter
marijuana is legal
everybody
on a
can do their
federal
own research, and they'll Google this, and then you just have to admit you're wrong later.
Listen,
Whoever's wrong has to admit they're wrong later.
Here's all I'm saying is marijuana is illegal at a federal level. Right now, abortion is legal on a federal level. It is legal on a federal level.
Isn't this kind of like what they're doing with the trans laws? Because they're making it, like he's saying, I'm leaving it up to the state. It's not a federal thing anymore.
Always been how it worked in the United States of America. If you want to even look at the United States of America, yes, it is.
That's true, but this argument that he's
from the beginning of its inception, in the United States of America, you're looking at these colonies, right? Let's say, for example, you grew up in Maine. Well, this is before trains, this is before cars, this is before anything. You lived and died within a 3-mile radius of where you were from. So why would someone from Maine allow someone from Florida to influence what they did on a state level in their country? They're like, I don't give a fuck about what's happening in Florida. You don't give a fuck about what's happening in Maine. How about we say what happens in our own states and how it pertains to our lives? This still exists today. In its first inclination, America was much more like the European Union than it is America that we have today. So
how could the federal government say that they can intervene on the trans law ruling?
So would you like to speak on that?
Yes, because again, there's a conflict of law hierarchy. Mm-hmm. State law trumps city and municipal law. Federal laws trump state law. So what you have now under this president is one saying, I'm going to defer to the states because he doesn't want the backlash of the LGBTQ community that he said he was going to advocate on behalf of. There are states that are saying, well, we don't like what the last president did. We have the power of the state Senate, the state house on our side, and maybe a Republican governor will be able to say, you can't use our bathrooms because we're not comfortable with it. And Donald Trump is saying we're not enforcing it. So now the state law would win because there's no one willing to enforce on a federal level. And they've already reversed the
so you just made my point.
I'm actually not. I'm making the point I was making before. They actually reversed the transgender rule that the Obama administration put in when Betsy DeVos and Trump and I think Mike Pence sat down to go over that.
So it's the reverse thing with the weed.
They reversed it with the weed and they reversed it with the transgender rule as well.
Got you. That makes perfect sense to me.
No, I think I know. I think I know what you're saying.
Look, it's unenforceable on a federal level. You need the state's cooperation to do it.
Her fear
and that's yes, you do. There's just not enough federal employees to knock on every single door, to knock on every single trans bathroom.
You're never going to get a date. You're never going to get a date like this.
The way on America works is the states enforce
so you're saying
the laws.
they can't do it because they don't have enough manpower?
Exactly. There is not enough manpower on a federal level to do it.
It's not that it's unenforceable. He's saying that they won't be able to have the impact.
Physically go there.
I get that. That's not what I thought.
Yeah, that's a different argument.
Initially, but that's fine.
But
I think
you're right. Real quick.
You're right. There are not enough people to enforce every single thing, every single place. No, but that doesn't mean that people won't have an issue. They won't encounter law enforcement at their particular weed shop. It just means that every single weed shop in a recreational use state, in every single recreational use state, will be shut down.
Absolutely. Now,
you're arguing two different things.
No. To my point, in order for Jeff Sessions' mandate to actually take hold and Jeff Sessions' mandate on weed to actually affect the weed community, he needs cooperation from the states. What I'm saying is, and I was just in California where there was a vote whether to legalize it recreationally or not, and I'm sure it won overwhelmingly, is the state would never agree because the state is already
agree because the DEA trumps state law.
I understand that, but it trumps state law in terms of written legislation, but they don't, again, like we just agreed, don't have the manpower to enforce their
But whether or not
law.
they have the manpower or not, they can.
They can
if they wanted to.
They've always
for example,
they've always had the ability
when they
to.
didn't have the permission of the lead boss saying to
and that lead boss could have changed his mind at any point in time.
Or they could be a different lead boss, which is what we just saw.
Exactly. So the issue is not the boss. You're worried about the boss. The issue is the federal law, Angela. What you have to do
We're not
is
staying on this for 20 minutes.
The difference between this and abortion. I didn't want to talk about this in the first place. I just want to talk about me dating Angela. But you guys want to go
That's never going to
political.
happen now.
Listen, it will happen. Okay.
I thought you might have won over with a little bit of intellect, man, but you're like alt fact Andy right now.
Listen, but that's what they love. Left wing chicks love right wing chicks. Dude, that's what it is, dude.
I don't believe that.
I'm really not a left wing chick then, because
what?
That ain't it.
What
have
ain't
you ever
it?
dated a conservative?
First of all, I'm not a conservative.
I didn't
I'm
say
a
you
liberal.
were. Stop being so defensive.
I got to.
He's arguing about everything. He'll be like, I'm not conservative. I'm conservative.
Nothing was funnier than last time you was on the podcast. He was like, "Why always got to be the white guy? Because you're white."
I thought we lived in a post-racial harmonious America.
We don't know who lied or told you that. We don't live.
What is your background? Are you mixed?
No, I'm black.
Really?
Yeah.
100%?
No, not 100%. But
you just found that out.
About the only person I know from the continent on my mom's side is a slave named Marie that was born in 1799 or 16.
How did he do all that?
Some guy on Facebook was able to trace. He knew my grandparents, my great grandparents, my great great grandparents, and he knew all of that. And that was the history I had.
Alternative facts.
He was able to trace it.
Oh, I thought you took like an Ancestry.com test.
I have done that, but I didn't take one for actual ancestors. It was just like genetically, who am I? Where are my people from?
But wait, you found out that you're part. What else besides black?
Native American.
Okay.
My great great grandmother had it's called like a Takapa or something.
A what?
White. It's a tribe in Louisiana, like right outside.
Taco pie?
Not taco pie.
Taco pie's hot. Taco pie's hot, bro. Taco pie's on point for real. That's the first restaurant that Trump's kicking out.
This guy's what's wrong with him, yo?
Anyway, so
I'm glad he laughed at his own joke.
You got some white. You got some white in you.
Yeah. Down the line.
That's what's up. You can have some more.
No.
Have you seen Get Out?
I love Get Out.
Did you see Get Out?
I just said that
Can
Andrew
we talk
was in
about
his,
the whiteness for something? You had a white person in your family.
I'm sure there's more than one.
Really?
Yeah. Listen.
So then it's part of the women in your family like that.
No, you know what happened?
What?
Slave masters raped black women on
Okay, you
plantations.
said it before I did.
Is that what you're saying?
Walked into that. Absolutely, I'm saying that.
Oh, you know that for a fact that happened.
Yes, absolutely, that happened.
You said you knew one person in your family, Marie.
I didn't. So this is a good sign of how we know you don't listen.
Yeah.
What I told you is the first time I've been able to trace back to the continent, which is Africa.
Oh.
This is the one person that I've been able to trace
But you
back.
know for a fact that white people raped your family members. That's, for a fact.
Great possibility.
I can tell you. I can tell you.
Where is
great
Charlamagne
possibility?
probably has some
Look,
too.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't understand how you know that for a fact. Like that's written down or.
Great possibility that probably happened.
When,
I'm sure there's a
when
great possibility my Scottish family were raped by the English. Everybody's got that in their family. That's not something idiosyncratic to just American slaves. It's idiosyncratic to anybody who's been colonized before.
Yeah, and I think the frustration you might run into with that argument is that when people are treated like chattel or property, the folks at that time time thought that they could do that and they had every right to do it because they owned the person who
Sure.
they didn't deem as fully human.
Yeah, the Vikings did it the Vikings did all throughout Europe.
Okay.
They did. That's what they're known
That's
for.
not,
Listen.
it's just not the point. I'm just not engaged.
My point is, I don't know.
Did we see Get Out?
Yes, but I just, no, I didn't see Get Out.
I
I,
was gonna say,
saw
like,
Logan, though.
like-
Holy shit.
Oh, you didn't see Get Out yet?
Oh,
You
my
have
God, I
to
didn't
see
see
it.
Get
It's
Out.
awesome.
Have you
That's
seen
like
Get Out?
Sunken place.
Not really.
Y'all don't support other comedians?
No, I think Jordan Peele's hilarious, but I didn't have interest in seeing the movie.
The movie is brilliant.
$75 million.
Yeah.
On a
Unbelievable.
$4.5 million
Just
budget.
make great films,
It was
guys. It's
brilliant.
really not that hard.
See, the beauty of Get Out is this. It's a horror movie that is based off something that could actually be a reality. That's what's scary to me. Freddy Krueger's not scary to me anymore. Neither is Jason Voorhees, neither is Michael Myers. That's fantasy bullshit. But some things that could actually happen, that's frightening.
Like what? What could actually happen in this movie?
I don't want to give it away for you if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, you gotta see
Yeah, you got to go see it, bro.
I'm
It's
not
really
gonna-
good.
I mean, like, y'all's argument exhausted me too much to pretend I care about being phony anymore.
I'm tired too.
So I literally just been on ESPN the last 2 minutes.
Well, Angela Rye, I'd like to formally introduce you to Andrew Schultz.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
What's up, babe?
Had him in 15 minutes and she's
How you
exhausted.
doing,
That
babe?
is,
I'm exhausted.
Listen,
Man, listening.
That's not the first time.
you don't know Andrew
Hey,
Schultz if he's never exhausted you.
No,
Hey.
this is the second time now. Second time.
That was over the
Yeah.
phone, though.
15
Yeah.
minutes is usually long for me. I'm quick to get exhausted. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a nice little 7 minutes.